Yeah, hello, hi guys. So in this session, we will learn the new topic that is nothing but an angular routing. Let's try to open the notepad. Yeah. So this is the angular routing. So in the previous session, we have learned these all the things, right? Hierarchical injection of the services also we have learned it. So where we need to provide the injection in the component level, in the app component level, and also in the module level, we have injected the services. So we have created a new services, we have injected the services in the component, and we have did the component cross component communication also using the services. So this is all about the services concept. Now let's try to learn the new topic that is nothing but an angular routing. Okay, so let's try to learn about this angular routing. We'll try to learn up to here. So what is an angular routing? In our previous video, in our previous session, we have learned about the services cross component communication, right? So for example, if I try to show you that services cross component communication, angular services, let's try to open this one and I will try to run this code. If I try to run this code, where is this terminal? ng serve. So I'm trying to run this one. Let's try to see the output about this one. Let it run. It will take some time, I think. Yeah, it has successfully compiled. Let's try to open the code. And here, if I try to open localhost 4200, if I try to see the output, this is the output which we have did in our previous session. This is our categories data. When I click on the add category, I'm able to add it. So view data. So we are able to check these. All the things are working fine. Now what I want to do is, so when I am clicking on this add category data, okay, so this is an add category page. So now I want to give it to somebody else. So or otherwise I want to open the same thing in our separate tab, so that I want to see this add category page like that only. So it should retain the page, but here it is showing the same page. It is showing add category page, but here it is not showing this add category page. That means we are not retaining the page which we are currently the user is in. So in order to retain this current page, so what we will be trying to do, so this is called as a home page. You will be having like this. If it is an add page, means you need to have a URL something like add, so that you can open the add page. If you are having a delete option or something like this, you can have a delete, or otherwise if you have a categories option, you can have a categories. So like this, we can have a separate URL and a separate page for each component. So in order to maintain this separate URLs concept, we need to follow the routing. Angular has a routing concept. Let's try to see how we can implement the routing concept. So for implementing this routing, what I will try to do is, I will try to create a new project. So in the command prompt, and here, so let's create ng new angular routing. Okay, so I'm creating an angular routing. So it will ask you some series of questions. So let's wait. So I will not. So it is asking at the top, at the first time only. Would you like to add an angular routing? So right now I don't want to add it. We will try to add it manually. If you try to press S, so it will create an angular routing for you. So we need to know how we need to create an angular routing. So we'll try to create by our own self. So let's try to create it. Okay. It'll take some time. Let it create. So the project is successfully created. Let's try to open this project. So let's go into this angular routing, I think. So this is our project name. Let's open this one in the Visual Studio Code. So it is trying to open in the Visual Studio Code. Fine. So my scenario is, so my requirement is, now we need to create a routing. My project thing is, let's say that I am having a page here. Okay. It should contain a header. So it should contain something like home, categories, about us. So like this, we need to have a links. And when I click on the home, we need to show the home page. And when I click on the categories, it needs to show the categories page. About us means this is a about us page. So this is the project I want to have. So we can have it at the vertical, or otherwise let's try to make it as a vertical thing only. Anything. So that's a design matter. We need to have somehow links here. We need to have. Okay, here I need to have home, about us, categories, users. Like this, we need to have a link. When I click on this one, here I need to show the details. About us means here I need to show it. Categories means here I need to show it. So anything. So you can make it as a horizontal or you can make it as a vertical. So that depends on your design. But somehow if I click on the about us, I need to open this about us page. Categories page means I need to open the categories page. Let's try to do this demo and we'll try to learn about the routing concepts also one by one. Now here we have created our project, right? So first, what is the concept we need to have? So this is a navigation concept, right? Let's try to make it as a header or navigation or anything, whatever thing you want, you can make it. So I will create it as a navigation. So let's create a component ngGC navigation. Okay, this is a navigation component. I am creating navigation. So let it create. So it will create. Then afterwards, what we need to have? So we need to have a home page. So home component. I will be creating a home component. So let's create a home component. So let's create a home component. Yeah. Next I will be having ngGC about us. Okay, about us component. Otherwise, you can keep it like this. About us. So we will be having an about us component, and last one we will try to create another component, categories. So that is our components creation. Let's try to make it as a simple categories. Okay, so that's it. So right now we have three components: home, about us, categories, and this one is a navigation component. Now let's try to move on to the app component.html file. So I think maybe it could be created. Yeah. So let's try to install this bootstrap also project. And I will add this one here so that we can have the design. So there will be no need for us to struggle for the design. Can do node modules bootstrap /dist /css bootstrap.min.css. Let's try to run this one parallelly. So it will try to run. So let's go to the app component. So now here in the app, we are able to see all the components that we have created. And these all components are added in the app.module.ts file also. So that's it. Now let's go to the app component.html file. So this is our root file. If we try to see the output, so when it tries to build, then I can show you. Let's first try to see the output before writing something. So up to now, how the output is looking, let's try to see it. So let it build. Now if I open this one in localhost to 4200, so this is the basic output we are able to see. Angular routing app is running. Let's start the routing. You go here and this is our page, right? Route page. Let's try to remove this one all. And I will try to take a container. Okay. And here I will be having something like call mod 3. I will take the call mod 3. And here you will be having a call mod 9. So this is our design perspective. What has happened here? Call mod 9. Okay. What is this one? I have applied like this or what? This one is rating. Call -md-9. Okay, so these are the two things. In this one, I need to add a navigation. So I can add app-navigation. I will add this app-navigation, and it's in this one we need to load. Let's say that app-categories or anything, whatever thing you want, you can mention. So let's try to make it as simple. Let's try to see the output. If I try to see the output for this one, so here if I try to see the output, so this is the thing. So here we are having a navigation, and here we are having a categories work. So fine. Now here I need to design the navigation. Let's go into the navigation here, and in this HTML I will try to write nav, whichever you want you can mention. So I can say something like nav -column nav hyphen fields or anything. I don't know. I didn't remember exactly the classes. href is equal to home, and I can have about us, and another one is in categories. So we'll be having something like this, the page. Let's try to see the output, how it will look like. Yeah, home, about us. Now let's try to apply the class here, nav hyphen link. So this is a bootstrap classes. So if I try to apply the classes, it will look somewhat better, I think. So some padding and these all lines will be removed. Yeah. So we are able to see this one. Home, about us, categories. Now when I click on this one, I need to open. So about us means slash about us. Categories means slash categories. Home means slash home. Or otherwise slash. So what I can do here, so you will be having categories means it needs to be slash categories. And here this one should be slash about us. Okay. And here it's just something like plain thing one. That's it. So now this is our navigation. And here if I click on the about us, so it should open the about us page. So here you are able to see that the page is navigating to say about us, but still we are showing the category component only. And here if you try to see here categories, it is showing. Home means the home page. We need to show the home page, but here only the categories we are trying to show it. So now let's go to the app component.html, and here we need to have something like app-home, and here also we need to have app-about-us. Okay. So these are the three components right now we are having. If I try to open this page, so we are able to see the three components at a time, but depending on the page which we are trying to open, the appropriate component has to open. So if you consider, one second. So the appropriate component has to open, but this is not happening. So all the components are loading at a time. This should not happen. So this is our main motto, right? So routing. Here the Angular has to decide. Okay. So instead of we adding all the components, tomorrow any other pages came in. So let's say that contact page and all those things came in. So here we need to add again the component name. So like this we should not do it. So here we cannot use an if condition. So if your URL is having like this, we cannot do it like that. So why? Because so tomorrow if you are having whole on 10 pages or 20 pages like that, we cannot go and add on all those things like that. So now we need to decide in such a way that Angular has to decide based on the URL which component has to load. So that means we need to provide the configuration, routing configuration to the Angular. So Angular routing configuration default we need to add it. So it comes through the Angular router. If you try to see in the package.json, so you will be able to see Angular router is not there or what. So okay, fine. So it will come from the Angular. Yeah, here it is there. Angular router. It comes from the Angular router. So it's a separate package. So if you don't want this one means you can remove this Angular router. But now the purpose came for us to use the Angular router. Now let's try to use the Angular router. Now let's go to the app module. So in the module, in the configuration module itself, we need to define the routing. So here let's define a variable constant app routes. I'm creating a variable. So anything, whatever the name you want, you can mention it. I'm keeping it as an app routes. Normally the naming convention, it is nothing but an application routes. If you want, you can also routing data, anything you can do it. So it's not a problem. App routes. So this is of type routes. Okay, this should be imported from the Angular router. Okay, so this should be imported from the Angular router. Now this is an array. So this is an array of object. Now here we need to mention the routing configuration. So first one is path. So when it is empty, so that means when it is on home page, we need to load a component that is nothing but a home component. Okay, that's it. So now path again. So when the user uses this slash users, then I need to load. So we don't have a users, right? So let's try to have categories. So we need to load component categories component. Okay, so this is one thing, and another one is path. So when we are having about us, so we need to load the component about us component. That's it. So these are our app routes. So these are, what is this one? Yeah, these are our routing configuration. So now here we are having a simple array of object. Each object has a two things. We also have some other things also. Let's try to learn one by one. So right now we have two keys. First one is the path, that is nothing but which path. So here slash about us, slash users, like this. So we need to mention those things. So like slash about us, if the user comes to the slash about us, please load the component about us component. If the user comes to slash categories, please load the component categories. If the user is in the home page, please load the component home component. We are trying to give the configuration. Now we need to add this configuration. So this is just a variable. We have declared a variable array of object. Now we need to add this variable, this data to the routing configuration. So that is nothing but in the imports, we need to add it here. Router module. So router module. So this is the module. And here you will be having for root. Okay, for child and for root is there. For child we will try to learn when we are learning about the modules concept. So for root, and here I will be sending this app routes. That's it. Okay, so now we have configured the routes and also we have sent it to the router module. Now let's try to go into this one and let's try to implement it. Now we are able to see the same output. So home, about us, contact us. So when I'm trying to click, nothing is happening. So the same thing is happening, right? So nothing, no change is there, but we are not getting any error. So now what I need to do here, so we have did the routing configuration. Now we are still trying to load the component manually. So now we should not load the component manually. We need to give it to the router, Angular router, to load the component dynamically according to the routing configuration. So here we need to mention router outlet. Okay, so this is the place where we need to load the routing component. Okay, now here when it is slash users is there, slash categories is there, so it will try to load the categories component only. Okay, so why it is not loading? What happened? So let's try to see the inspect element. Let's go into this one. We got some error. Let's go into this console. Let's go into this console. Slash categories path. Okay, so we have added something in our routing. Okay, we should not add the slash here. So in that href we should add it. So like this. Okay. So now let's go to this one. And here is the home. See, now when we are in the home page, it is working. Homeworks is working. And I am in the about us. So I am able to see about us. When I am in the categories, I am able to see the categories, right? So this is the basic routing thing. So how we need to write the routing is this, like this only. So now if I am on the about us, now I will take this URL and I will try to open in the next page. If I try to open in the next page, so we will be having, we are on the same place where this about us is there. So now we are on the same place. Okay, we are on the, if we are in the categories, so I can give this URL, I can copy this URL and I can give it to whoever needs it. So I can give it like this. Okay, so like this we can do it. So this is how the basic routing works. Okay, so this is about the Angular routing. Now let's go to the app component.html and let's go to the navigation.html thing. So now we will try to learn about the what I can say is, if I try to see here, if I try to show you here one concept. So if I click on the categories, every time when we are trying to click on this link, so if the page is refreshing, if you try to see here, the page is refreshing and then afterwards the output is coming. That means every time it is going back to the server and getting the response. It should not happen like that. So when I click on this one, so page should not load automatically. This component has to change. So for changing this component, what we need to do is we should not use the href concept. Okay, Angular has a directive that is nothing but a router link. Okay, router link is equal to slash, and here I can use router link is equal to slash about us, and here I can have router link is equal to slash categories. Okay, that's it. Now if I try to see, if I try to show you the output home, so now this time see the page is not refreshing, but we are able to see the output. Why this page is refreshing? Leave it. Now here if you try to see here, so without refreshing the page we are able to see the output. Okay, so this is about the router link. So whenever you want a page without refreshing, if you want to show means, so we need to use the router link. We can also use like a property binding also. If you are having a variables that to be binded means you can use the property binding, and here you need to use the like array structure, and this one should be in the single quote. Okay, that's it. So this is also the one and the same. It will also work in the same scenario only. So if I try to see about us like this, I'm able to see the output. So same thing, it is working. Okay, so one concept is finished. So we have run the router link. Now let's say that here for this one it is having an active. Okay, if I try to make active as a home page, so what it will happen? See, let's try to see. So we are able to see home is highlighted. That means we are on presently in the home page. So if I click on the about us, so right now I am currently on the about us. So somehow we need to show this about us as a highlighted thing. So that means somehow this active link should be shifted to this one, that active class. So like this it should be shifted. Now if I try to refresh this page, now it is in the about us. Somehow when the user clicks on the page, so depending on the URL what it is changing, or depending on the active component, active page, which page is inactive, so we need to shift that class thing. So for that one we have an option. So that is nothing but an router link active. Okay, so router link active, we need to apply which class I want to apply. So I can apply active. So this is the class I want to apply for this one. So you can paste it for every link whichever you want it. So here I can paste it, and here I can paste it. That's it. So now whichever link is active, it will apply the class, this active class. Now let's try to see the output. So if we try to see the output, so we are able to get the output, but home page is selecting all the time. So about us is working fine. Home and about us is working fine. But when I am on the categories or about us also, this home is selected by default. So this should not happen. Why this home is selected by default is, for example, if you try to observe here the URL structure is in such a way that, okay, URL structure is in such a way that, so it is something like slash about us. Okay, so it is a combination of slash and then about us. Okay, so slash means home page and about us means about us page. So the URL, the Anchor will think like that. Okay, it is a combination of home page and then about us page. So I need to activate both the pages. It will think like that. So this should not happen. So if there is an exactly only the slash only, then only load this page. So if you have a slash, after that if anything is there, so then don't highlight the home page. We need to tell to the Angular. So that means if there is an exactly slash only, then only take. So if there is a slash about us like this, if it is there, means don't take it as a combination of home page and then another page. Don't take it as it like that combination, we need to say. So for that one, what we need to do is, here I need to tell for this slash. So this is the link only, right, which is behaving weird. So we need to have an option, something like router link options, router link active options, and this one will take an object. Okay, so this should be in an array. So this one will take an object. I need to provide exact true. So this should be exact true. So that's it. So now here let's try to move it. Yeah, so exact true. I'm telling that for this one URL you need to take it as exact true. Now if I try to see the output, how it will happen, let's try to see. So now see, home is not selected. Now I am able to see the output as expected. So I am able to do it as expected. So this is how we will be highlighting the links, router link options with this one. So you understood about this one, right? So now let's say that I am in the about us page. Okay, I am in the about us page. I need to navigate to the categories page from the about us component. So how we can do it? So let's go to the about us page, about us.component.html, and here I will add a URL that is nothing but div anchor link go to categories. So I am having in the component of about us. So I will be having router link is equal to slash categories. So I want to go to the categories in the about us. I will paste it like this. So it's fine. It will work. So now I am in the home page. I am in the about us page. I am able to see this method. So if I click here, it will go to the categories page. Fine. But now I don't want like this to move. I want something like, for example, let's say that I will be having a button. So here add category. So you'll be having an add category and go to categories page. So like this we are having. So first we need to add a we need to apply, we need to do some logic, add category, and then after successful addition of the category, we need to move to the categories page. So here you will be having a click option on add category. So we will be having an on category. So now this one will do the addition of adding of a category. Let's go to the TS file, about us TS file, and here I will be adding on add category. Now I need to do some logic in this one in a such a way that adding a categories, pushing the categories, adding categories and all those things. After successful, I need to redirect to categories page. Okay. So now if I try to see the output, I am in the about us. Okay. So now here I need to click on this button. If I click on this button, so we need to add a category and we need to move it to the categories page through programmatically. Now here through the programmatically, it means nothing but through the TS logic, we need to move it. So for this one to move it, what we need to do is first we need to inject the router. Okay, so router we need to inject. So router is nothing but a router. Okay, this should be imported from the Angular router. So this router has all the configuration regarding this router configuration. Okay, router configuration, everything it will have in the router. So now what we will be having is in this one, we will be having a method, this dot router dot navigate. Okay, navigate by URL. So you have an option navigate by URL. We have a navigate also. First you will see about the navigate by URL. So you need to provide slash categories. That's it. So through the program, you can navigate like this. Now if I try to see the output, how it will look like, let's try to see. So if I click on the about us, if I click here, see, automatically it has been moved to the categories because of this navigate URL option. We also have another method that is nothing but a navigate. We'll try to see about this advantage of this one also. Navigate off, and this one will take in first one as an array, same thing, slash categories. I can provide it like this. So now if I try to see the output, the same thing happens, nothing. So about us, add category, so about us, so it will move like this. So this is how we can programmatically or through TS configuration file, how we can move the page from one page to another. So this is how this is our routing thing. So now let's try to see what we have learned up to now before moving to further. So we have learned Angular routing introduction. So router link active, we have learned about the router link and router link active and router link options also. Router link active options. We have learned about these all the things. Now next one, what we have learned, navigation, how to navigate through JavaScript, that means through logic JavaScript, using router, and also using router and also through template. So in the template using router link, in the template, also in the template. So we have did it. So we have learned about the router link active also. So how to select the active link to add class, to apply desired class. So we have seen it. Now what I want to do is, so passing and getting parameters from URL. So this is the second option which we need to learn. So before this one, before learning passing and getting parameters, first we will try to learn about the query parameters and the fragment. So how to retrieve this one, let's try to see. How to apply these query parameters and fragment. How to add to the URL. So retrieving is later we will try to do. So now let's try to do how query meters and fragments we apply. For example, if you try to observe any pages or anything, so you will be having a parameters in a such a way that, so if you try to observe www.example.com, the URL structure it will be slash about us slash, you will be having something like this, and you can have a query parameters like question mark q is equal to 1 2 3 4 ampersand I is equal to Leela. So like this we will be having, and last we will be having something like hash loading like this. So up to here it is called as a domain, and this one is called as an internal page, and here up to here it is called as in query parameters, and last one it is called as in fragment. So now up to here how we can apply, we understood. So how we can apply slash about us slash contact us, we understood. So if I want to apply query parameter to an error, to an URL. How we can do it using the Angular? Let's try to see it. So now let's try to go to this about us, or otherwise, yeah, about us. We'll try to not about us. Let's go to the app component.html, or we'll try to add it in the about us categories page. Let's go to the categories page, and here I will try to say href to go to about us. We are having a thing. So now let's try to say that we are having a router link. The router link is the thing which we need to apply. So it should be / about us. Okay, so that's it. So now let's try to see the categories. We are able to see a link, go about us. So if I click, I'm able to see about us. So here I need to apply something like q is equal to 1 2 3 4 ampersand hi is equal to Leela. So something like this. I want to apply these two parameters. You can apply how many parameters you want, you can apply it. So but I want to apply only two parameters, that is nothing but like this. So if I try to press enter, I'm able to see the output. So capturing those things later on we'll discuss. First, how to attach this one to the URL, let's try to see it. Now we need to attach this one. So for this one, what we'll be having is, we'll be having through the template. So I am telling you through the template, first through the template. So query params, we'll be having an option query params. Okay, so this one will take an object, so you can mention it as a square property binding. Okay, so here it will take an object, and here you need to mention q is equal to 1 2 3 4, and you will be having another one. What is that one? So hi, it is of type Leela. See, so now we have applied a query params object. We need to give the object. Now let's go and let's try to see the output, how we can get it. Now I am in the categories page. If I go to the about us here, see the same thing that has been applied automatically. If I want to apply any other extra, so you can apply comma. So here will be search I will be trying to do. So I'll try to do something like this. Okay, so these are the three parameters it should be applied. So if I go here, and if I try to remove this one, let's go to the categories, and if I click on this one, see we are able to get q is equal 1 2 3 4 hi and Leela and search. So we are able to get the query params. Now we need to apply fragment hash. We need to apply it, right? So we have an option such a way that fragment. Okay, so we need to apply loading or something like this. So like this we need to apply. So or otherwise you can also use a property binding. So if you are trying to apply property binding, there is no need to add single quotes here. Oh sorry, so we need to apply single quotes. When we are applying this property binding, we need to apply a single quote. So now let's try to see when you are not applying a property binding like this means, so you can use there is no need to use the single quotes. Why? Because it will try to, when you use the brackets, we know that, right? So it will search for the variable instead of loading text. Now if I try to see categories, okay, to about us, see we are able to see hash loading at the end. So this is how we can append the different types of query parameters and also the fragment and different types of structure of the URL. Like this we can add it. Okay, like this we can add it. This is how we will be adding the query parameters and the fragment to the URL. And what I can say next one is programmatically we have seen, and what I can say, the next one what I want to tell you is that is an important concept, not important concept. Now let's try to apply through the programmatic. I will try to show you through the programmatically. So here we are having, right, and here next parameter will take an object, and here you will be having an option something like query parameters. This and in return take an object. So hi Leela, you can apply, and I can apply search is equal to 1 second. So now here we will be having hi Leela, and another one is something like this. 1 second. Okay, fine. So now here query params is there, hi Leela, and also we are having another thing that is nothing but another parameter also we can do it. Is this happening? Yeah, search. So you can apply whatever you want. and the fragment, you need to apply a fragment. So you'll be having another option that is nothing but a fragment, and here you can apply loading or something. So through programmatically we will be applying here like this. Through navigate we can apply query parameters and the fragment like this. Now if you try to see categories, and if I try to click on this one, so we are having this one. All right, now I am click on this one. See, everything has been changed. Through programmatically we got it. Hi is equal to search is equal to like this, hash loading, we are able to see it. So if I click on this one, so we are able to see like this. If I click on this one, we are able to see it like this. So this is all about the basics of the routing. Okay, so this is all about the basics of the routing thing. Next what we need to learn is, so this one is completed. So query parameters and all those things we have learned it. So now where is this one? So query parameters and fragment, how to add it to the URL through template and also JS. Okay. Now next one is passing and getting parameter from URL. So this is the main important concept we need to understand. Okay. Now let's try to move it. Now let's try to move before this one. Let's try to understand what is this one. For example, let's say that we are having a users. Okay. So we are having a users. So users means you will show complete users list. Complete users list. Now I want to see a particular, so we are having a complete users list. That is nothing but what I can say is we are having a users list, something like so Leela, Krishna, John, or something like this. We are having 3 users. We will be showing the complete users list like this. So now what I want to do is here I want to see particular user details. So that means the URL for this one, it will be something like he will be having an ID of 1. Let's assume. So he will be having an ID of 1, and this guy will be having an ID of 2, and this guy will be having an ID of 3, whatever it may be. So now here I want to see the user of Leela details. That means he has to have a separate page. So that means nothing but user/1/Leela. We can have a username like this, and this guy can have a user something like user/2/Krishna, and here I can have something like /user/3/John. Like this we can have it. Now these are the separate URLs which the user is having. Now let's try to see. Now the users table is there. So we need to add a configuration for this one. Before creating a configuration for this one, what I will try to do is I will try to create a component, user component, single user component. ngGC user. So ngGC user. It will take some time. Yeah. So we got the user details. So let's try to go to the app module. Why? Because we need to define the routing configurations, right? Why? Because so we have seen that these are the routing configurations we are having. Let's go. So here I will try to add if the path is matching user/1/Leela. So load the component user component. Okay. So for another guy, something like Leela/2/Krishna. So for this guy also we need to load the user component only. Why? Because he is also a single user. So now here if we try to take John, so for this guy also we need to load the user component. So now let's try to go into the user so let's try to add it user/1/Leela. User/1/Leela. Now if I try to open here, so we are able to get the user component, user works. Here we are able to get the details, user works. That means 1/Leela is working. Now if I try to see 2/John, then also user component is working. If I try to say something like 2/JD or something like this, I am trying to use, it is going back to the home page. Why? Because that routing doesn't exist. 2/Leela Krishna John is there, something like other name, it is not there. For example, let's say that I am trying to use /2/ some other name. Okay, some other name I am trying to use it, or otherwise Ramu or something like that I am trying to use. So this page doesn't exist, so it is going away. So why? Because if you try to see here, we are having Leela, Krishna and John, we don't have a Ramu. So that means we need to add it again, another guy with name Ramu. So this could be a tedious job for us. Why? Because if you are getting a data from the database or anything, we don't know how many users are existing. We can have hundreds of users, so we cannot go on creating like this, right? So we know that all of them are using the same component, that is nothing but a user component. So depending on that one, we need to make it as dynamic. So how we can do it, this one is, So these are nothing but, so in this one, which are changing here, 1/Leela or 2/Krishna. So these two parameters are changing. Other than that, this user is common. So now we can keep it as a user and we can remove these all the things. And here I can mention it as an, okay, dynamic one, colon ID. So whichever is dynamic, we can mention it like this, colon ID. And here I can mention something like colon name. Whatever the name you want, you can mention it. So which is a meaningful thing I want to make, I am mentioning it here. So colon ID, colon name. So now we need to load the user component. Now, if you try to observe, whatever the URL I am trying to type here, /user/1/Leela. So it will open. Why? Because so /1/Leela is a dynamic one. So we are telling that whatever the ID, whatever the name. So it is matching means try to open it. So if I try to say something, something / something. If I try to press enter, then also it will work. Why? Because this one is an ID and this one is a name. So now let's go to the user component. Now what we need to do is, so we need to catch this ID and the name and we need to populate the details. So whatever the name and ID coming from the URL, we need to capture those things and we need to show it show it in the page. Let's go to the user component. And here I am going to the user component and let's try to use a constructor. In this constructor, we need to inject the route. Okay, this time route we are injecting. This is an activated route. So router will contains all the information about the router configuration. Route, this one will contains about the current route. Okay, current route means nothing but user /1/Leela. So now we need to capture the ID and name. So let's make it as ID is equal to empty. So for the starting, name is equal to empty. So these are the two names which I need to capture it. So here I need to go. So this dot ID is equal to, so we need to capture this dot route dot. Okay, this dot route dot, we will be having some options. That is nothing but this dot route dot, what is that one we will be having? I didn't remember. Snapshot. Oh, sorry, router I have used. Okay, route dot. So we will be having some of the options here. So we can take params dot, or otherwise we can say that snapshot. We can have a snapshot dot params of ID. We can take it like this. Okay, so now if I try to show you this console.log, okay, I will try to show you this console.log, then you will understand it. So all the query parameters, all the parameters we'll be having in the snapshot.params. Now if I go to into this one and if I show you the console thing, yeah, let's go to the console. Now if I try to refresh this page, so here you will be able to see an object, and in this object we are having ID and name. See, ID and name. Now what I can say, I can take this one ID, so I can paste this one something like ID, or otherwise if I try to show you 1/Leela. If I try to use it, so we are able to get an object, and in this object is containing of ID1 and name. So these names, how we are getting is whatever the dynamic name you are mentioning in the app module here, colon ID. So this is the name you will be having. Now we can go to the user component.ts file. So here I can say that this dot ID is equal to this dot route dot snapshot dot params of ID. Okay, and another one is this dot name. This dot name is equal to this dot route dot snapshot dot params of name. That's it. Now if I go to the user component.html file, and here I can show something like div. So here I can show the ID. There is nothing but an ID, and here I can show the name. So the details what we are getting from the URL. So I can show the name here. Now if I try to see the output here, so if I go here, see I am able to get ID1, name and Leela. Why? Because so we are using the in the parameters here. So if I try to say something / something, now we are able to get an output something and something. So that is the URL we are having. For example, we are in the categories, and here we need to go to the user page. So let's go to the categories page, and here I will be adding AHR, sorry, not AHREF. So go to Leela page or something like this. I will try to use it. And here I will be having a router link. Router link is equal to, this could be an array. First it needs to go to the user, then afterwards it needs to go to the one and Leela. This is the thing, right? We will be having. So that's it. Now let's try to see the output. Now if we are having go to Leela page, if I click here, see we are able to get the details. So we are able to get exactly user details and we are able to get the details. So this is how we can capture the parameters from the URL using the param snapshot. Okay, so we have one downside regarding the snapshot thing. We'll try to discuss. I will try to show the real behavior of that one. Then after we'll try to understand it. So now we are able to understand one concept, that is nothing but an passing and getting parameter from the URL. So we know how to pass the parameters and also get the parameters. So this is all about the parameters thing. So now dynamic dynamic routing also we have added through this. So for example, let's go to the app.module.ts file. So like this, if you want to add dynamic things, so now with one thing we are able to get all the user pages. We are able to design all the user pages, capturing that ID and name dynamically, so that we can show whatever the page is related to him, we can show it. So this is all about the routing configuration. So still some more concepts are there. We'll try to learn one by one afterwards. So this is how we can do the routing thing. In the next session, we'll try to learn child routing, child nested routings. We'll try to learn those things. And what I can say is the dynamic behavior of that one, parameters also we'll try to see about this one. So custom 404 implementation. These are all the things let's try to see, and we'll try to close that routing session.